Hey guys, this is Issues with Toddy One Skip. I am Toddy One Skip. Welcome to the channel and thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your day as always. Thank you guys. Guys, I have been watching the Maddie Soto mess. It was an murder of a 13-year-old child at the hands of either her mother, Jenn Soto, or her boyfriend, Jenn Soto's boyfriend, Stefan Stearns. So, that being said, there's been things that have come out. Things that give us a teeny glimpse into the life of what it must have been like to be Maddie Soto. To go from 6, 7 years old to 8 years old to traumatized to adulthood, to have her whole innocence taken from her. To had hoped, is what I've read in the comments, that she was pregnant. To take a life that was shit and try to be a maternal and want to be a maternal role model to make the life perhaps different for a child she had hoped or had thought she was going to have, with a man who I believe she thought she was in love with because she didn't know what love was. To take advantage of such a soul and to have a parent offer up such an innocent soul is criminal, yet the mother of this child is walking this earth, breathing free oxygen, and is probably able to have another child without any consequence from the law. How could she have thought this was a good idea? She knew about it. I'm convinced she knew about it because she made that comment to the police. Jenn Soto, Maddie's mom, when Maddie was missing, I think before she passed, or before they knew she passed, Jenn Soto made a comment saying she didn't want a Woody Allen scenario. She didn't want to be left like Mia Farrow with what happened with Woody Allen and Sun Yi. You know, he took his stepdaughter and left the woman he was with. Guys, how could she bring that up without thinking something was going on between her daughter and her boyfriend? Why was Stefan still her boyfriend when she wasn't doing anything intimate with him? Why was this okay in a home with other people that said, hey, how come nobody called? What, there was a woman who was an immigrant who was living in that house who I think was afraid to call. There was a sister, I don't know if she lived in the house, but I thought she knew. Why wasn't this child protected better? Guys, how could Maddie be honored and memorialized? How could nobody have seen the difference in this child when these things were happening to the child? The first time when Maddie, the first time when she was taken advantage of physically, nobody noticed, no school, nothing, there was no change. How did somebody normalize it? Was it normalized? Was she groomed for 2 years? And that's what happened, because I believe Stefan got with Jenn when Maddie was 6. So was she groomed and thought it was to be normal? And why? It is a case, how do we honor Maddie by not doing anything about Jenn? Why was there a plea deal that needed to be? What was the gain of that plea deal? Can we know? Can we know? Because this girl, Maddie Soto, deserved better than this. And if her mom had a hand in it, which she did, her mom had a hand in it by neglect alone, by child endangerment alone, and she is not being held accountable here. What does it take? Why? We want to know why. We're outraged. We want to know why this woman is still free and clear like this. How is this for the best interest of the child? How is this for the best interest of community? How is she allowed to still be around children knowing that she offered up her own kid? That's the thing I want to know. Seriously, why isn't, if something happens to another child because of Jenn Soto, can they sue the state of Florida? Because maybe that's what it'll take. It's just unbelievable to me why this woman is still out there breathing and nobody's taking any kind of responsibility. Okay, she's not, but it is law enforcement's job to take it and make responsibility of this woman who offered up her child, a child who lost her childhood, went from 6 or 8 right to adulthood. Any fair shot. What do you guys want to see happen to Jenn Soto? Remember that, it's in the comments, so be careful with what you write. Be imaginative, but be careful with what you write. And guys, I'm going to pop in here for a minute to say, I'm convinced that the reason why we know about Maddie Soto is because of the content creators that have not let her memory go. Because mainstream media, they tell a story and they move on. They tell a story and they move on. And I don't know if that's why people aren't connecting and people aren't holding like Jenn accountable, because maybe not enough people know where she's at and where she lives to hold her accountable. So if we could yell and scream, hey, look at Jenn Soto, she failed her daughter. Maybe somebody can hold her accountable. At least perhaps let people know when she's around children. Because who knows what's in her mind. Look at what she let her own daughter do. Just look at that. Guys, be better today than you were yesterday. Not half as good as you'll be tomorrow. Take care, guys. Thank you.